All right, here's a prayer request for the region of Xinjiang in northwest China. If you've talked with me much, then you've probably heard me talk about Xinjiang. I love this region of China. I think it's one of the most fascinating places in the world. And the reason that I care so much about it is because I think that God has given me a specific assignment to pray for that region and also to call other people to pray. And here's part of the reason why. I'll give you the backstory. When I was 15 years old, I was praying for China. I was in my bedroom, and my prayer was something like this: God, help China. God, bless China. God, save China. God, I don't even know how to pray for China. I don't even know any Chinese. I don't even know any Chinese people. God, actually, I don't know anything about China. So, could you just tell me something? And I was like yelling out to God that He would tell me something that I should be praying for, something specific, some people, some place, because I was totally ignorant. If I had looked at a map of China, I couldn't pronounce any of the cities correctly. I knew nothing about Chinese phonetics or anything. So, after yelling like this for a few minutes, I finally quieted down, and I think that God spoke to me because what I heard in my mind's ear was Xinjiang. And of course, my first response was, "What's Xinjiang? Is that a place, a person? What do I do with that?" And I didn't know what to do, but I decided to look in an encyclopedia. I looked at China. I looked through some articles. And finally, I looked at a Chinese map, and I looked at the different cities. And finally, I looked in the northwest corner of the map and saw Xinjiang. And of course, I was thinking, well, I heard Xinjiang, and this looks like Xinjiang. And it's not Shanghai, it's not Beijing, it's not Wuhan or Shenzhen. I really didn't know how to pronounce anything, I promise. Like, I'd never heard of this place. If I had seen anything, it was in a different phoneticization. So I'm like pretty much 100% certain I'd never even seen this spelling of Xinjiang. And if I had no idea how to pronounce it. But I prayed about it, and I felt like this is the region. I think I'm supposed to pray for it. And I read about it, and I just found out, oh, it's full of Muslims. That's interesting, Chinese Muslims. And it's got a lot of oil, and there's a lot of ethnic tensions, and a lot of terrorist attacks. Oh, very interesting. Okay, sounds like they need prayer. So I traced out a map of China, traced out the region of the province of Xinjiang, and I put this little map on my wall, and I tried to remember to pray on a regular basis, and that was about it. And then fast forward 12 years, I was living in Shanghai. My nice little apartment. I had good roommates. Things were going nicely. But one day I was reading the news on my laptop, and I saw another news story about a terrorist attack in Xinjiang. And so something just rose up in me, and I slammed my fist on the table, and I said, "All right, that's it. No more killing." And I just threw myself into a season of prayer and fasting. And I had to do something. I didn't know what to do, but I decided I'm going to spend X amount of time each day praying earnestly. And shortly after that, I decided to start a 21-day fast. So for 21 days, I had liquid and no food, and then during that time, I think that God spoke to me that I should do a 3-day fast at the end of June, before June 30th. So that was in April. A bunch of stuff happened between then and the end of June. I moved to Hong Kong, and I scheduled, okay, the only time I can do it will be June 27th, 28th, 29th. And I did this 3-day Esther fast of no food, no water, just basically laying on my bed for 3 days and not being able to do anything, hardly able to pray because I was so weak. And then I'll just read to you what happened the next morning, my journal entry after this 3-day fast. Saturday, June 30th, 2012. Last night, an airplane was nearly hijacked, but security guards stopped the men responsible. It was a flight from Hotan to Urumqi, that's in Xinjiang. 6 suspects were arrested, several people were hurt or injured, but nobody died. This morning, there was a 6.6 earthquake in Xinjiang, and I later read that 3,000 houses were destroyed, over 10,000 were damaged, public transportation and highways were shut down in the region due to landslides, 2,000 heads of livestock were killed, 52 people were injured. And then I wrote, but nobody died. Nobody died. Before I broke my 3-day fast for Xinjiang last night, I opened the Bible for a word from God about whether I should continue fasting or what. I opened to the passage about the 7 loaves and 2 fishes. It was enough. It was so little, but it was enough. And so, my takeaway from that experience was a heartbroken gratefulness to God that He lets us be part of His plans through the simple and mysterious activity of prayer and fasting. And so I just want to encourage you for the nations and the regions that God has laid on your heart, that He does listen to your prayer, and whatever the reason for fasting, I don't understand it, but it moves God's heart and stuff happens, and things change, and people's lives are saved, and I believe people's souls are saved. And again, I'm sharing this experience because I believe God has called me to pray for this region, and I want to ask, pretty soon I'm going to start asking people to do a more specific prayer initiative to pray for this region, because I believe the church there will be key in the evangelization of China and also of the Middle East, because of its geographic location and just the promises I think that God has put on that region of the world. So I ask that you pray for a strengthening of the church in Xinjiang, also for an end to terrorist attacks, and for an end to ethnic tensions there. Thank you.